I'm going to introduce Joel Greenlee first. Joel was a Waverly Shell Rock graduate, state champion. And so we were right down the road. I happened to be the assistant coach at Northern Iowa at that time. Head coach was Don Briggs. And so I can't tell you how excited we were to land Joel. And I think the weight class back then was 185. I think he won the state center 185. So, we weren't sure how big, was he going to be a 90-pounder? At that time, that was a college weight, or was he going to be a heavyweight? So his first year, he was a 90-pounder. And here's what I remember. Joel was not very good on his feet at that time. If we could go even, we were going to win, because that's how good he was on top. And so as we progressed through the years, Joel got good enough on his feet where he could go even with almost everybody, which meant we beat almost everybody. And then after that, and then as we progressed, he got so good, he got good on his feet, so he was actually taking guys down on his feet, and then he became a dominant wrestler. But one of my favorite memories is if Joel had his pick after the first period, he'd always defer. And how many times did guys take down? But my favorite memory was if they didn't get pinned, they were so exhausted. After the second period, and we all knew what was coming because Joel was going to take top. And we were all on the bench saying, okay, look at it. We're watching his facial expression, the kid's facial expression. We're watch. And Joel took top, and it was always an interesting deal. Joel also, the guy was he was a two-time All-American, national finalist for the Panthers. He was a 92 runner-up in the Olympic trials, three-time World Team Trials place winner. But there's always this one guy named Bruce Baumgartner that was kind of standing in the way. Best heavyweight in the world many times, and but I had one. I asked Don Briggs, give me a story about Joel that you remember, and he said, ask Joel if he can remember being in Las Vegas, and him and Baumgartner, they were friends. Ask him about when they went to the all-you-can-eat place in Las Vegas. True story. And the manager came out and said to him, if I give you your money back, will you guys leave? You must have tore that. But what I remember the most about Joel Greenlee was, and I coached college wrestling for 30 years, because Joel Greenlee was one of the most dedicated athletes I ever had the pleasure to coach. He dedicated himself totally to the sport, and then paid off, and now he's given back his 20th year. He just finished at Ohio University as a head coach. Let's welcome Joel Greenlee, Hall of Fame.
All right. First of all, I'll apologize. I'm the world's worst public speaker, so and it's going to be Joel Greenlee and his technology. So, first of all, I thank everybody. This is truly a special day for me. I feel privileged to be here. As a kid, I used to read about all the studs that went into the Ohio Wrestling Hall of Fame, and hopefully one day I would get there. And today's the day, I guess. We ran out of good guys and finally let me in. I'd like to thank the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame, the board members, for this honor. Congratulations to all the other inductees. Pretty special to go in with three other Panthers. When I received the call from Bill Roast, I was speechless. And if you guys can't hear me, let me know, because I'm all over with everything. So I was speechless. I was honored, humbled, and shocked. Iowa's a great state to wrestle in. I don't know that you guys really know how good you have it. I coach in a state right now that likes to call itself one of the best high school wrestling states out there, and I'll agree with that. It is one of the best high school wrestling states out there, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but you can go to northern Iowa, New Year's Day, wrestle North Carolina, and I don't mean that as a slam to North Carolina, and there'll be 3,000, 4,000 people there, right? That's a huge deal. That is a huge deal, and it's all because of the people in the state, and nothing compares to it. The support, the passion that people in the state of Ohio, or Iowa have for wrestling. Today I'm going to really spend my time thanking people who are a big part of getting me here. And everybody knows me, knows I needed all the help I could get to get here. So I've been fortunate to have crossed paths with a lot of great people that have had an effect on my career one way or another. I've been coaching for over 25 years, and it seems like I've never really had a job. It's a joy to go to work every day. I've been around, fortunate to have been around people that have big impact on my career, my family, my aunts, uncles, cousins, in-laws, friends, and teammates. I can't mention them all, but I'd like to mention a few of them, or at least thank a few of them. I'd like to start by thanking my parents. When I was a kid, my parents were my heroes. They taught me to enjoy success and learn from my failures. They taught me that if I really wanted something from life, I was going to have to work hard for it, and it wasn't always going to be easy. People think that you have to put a lot of long, hard hours into coaching, a lot of long, hard hours into to wrestling. My parents raised 3 active boys, carted us all over the state, all over town, fed us so we could chase our dreams. All the while teaching us to think big, not about just winning sectional championships, district championships, state championships, but thinking we were good enough to win a national title, things like that. And not to be satisfied with anything less. My family, my wife Roxanne's here tonight, my son and daughter. My son's in college, so he's hopefully went to class today. And my daughter is a senior in high school, and she's taking classes at the university as well as high school classes. But Roxanne's been a major part of my life for 37 years. She's been a huge part of my wrestling career and all of my coaching career. I know it's not easy, and it always hasn't been easy. There have been a lot of ruined birthdays, ruined dinners, a lot of early mornings and late nights. Walker and Maddie pretty much had grown up around the wrestling mat. A lot of our vacations revolved around, there's this really cool tournament in Disney.
Yeah!
They've been there a couple times, and you know, a lot of our lives just revolved around wrestling. My son works in a development office at the university right now as a part-time job. And he's one of the guys that they send out the sympathy notice and stuff like that when people pass away. And we were sitting around the dinner table talking about, you know, hey, you know what, we're going to go back to Iowa. Well, why are we going back to Iowa? Well, Dad got in the Hall of Fame. He's like, yeah, at least something, they'll have something to put in your obituary. I'd like to thank my brothers Jerry and Justin. All growing up, I just wanted to be like my older brothers. So when he started wrestling, I wanted to wrestle as well. Really, he tortured me when I was little. He was a pretty good athlete. I was a little bully boy. Coach Miller says that I wrestled 185 in high school, and I gained like an 8th grader since then. So I was a little doughy boy, and he was a pretty good athlete, so I knew I was going to have to give 100% to do anything. And he never let me off the hook easy, and I think that's one of the reasons how I learned to work hard and where I learned to work hard. Justin was a little bit different. I mean, it was something pretty special to be able to coach your brother. I was an assistant at Northern Iowa when Justin came there, and I think that was one of the parts of our life that were the closest, and that was a rare opportunity. I learned a lot about coaching Justin. For me, you know, I said it all the time, I'm more of a doer than a thinker, okay? Just tell me to do it and I'm off, all right? Without regard for anything else, okay? It doesn't matter what's going to get wrecked or destroyed in the process. He's more of a thinker. Well, all of a sudden, when you coach a guy like that, you have to start to think a little bit. So he really made me a better coach, I think. And like I said, it was challenging, but I think it was a special time for both of us in our lives. I'd like to thank my high school coach, Mike Dotsett. he really taught me how to become a better man. Thanks for seeing in me what I could be and showing me how to get there. After high school, I went to Northern Iowa, obviously, and that was probably 5 of the best years of my life. I tell our guys on my team that all the time. Hey, this is going to be the best year of your life, and it's only going to get worse from here. So, you get one of those moods and you're feeling sorry for yourself. And, man, we have to get up early. And, we didn't get home on the bus until late and all that stuff. Enjoy it. It's fun. But it really was probably the 5 best years of my life. I really learned 2 important things when I was there. Okay? Spent tens of thousands of dollars and learned 2 things. Okay? The 2 things I learned is I learned, 1, hey, what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to coach wrestling. I wanted to have an impact on young people's lives. 2, I learned who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And my wife and I, that's when we got married, when we were still in college at Northern Iowa. When I went there, I thought I was pretty good. I just got done winning the state title. I think I don't know what my record was, but I know I didn't lose my senior year. I thought I was pretty good. Get there, and holy smokes, I found out I had a lot to learn. But I was fortunate to have 3 great coaches to learn from, and all 3 of these men taught me different things that have helped me become who I am today. Coach Briggs, first and foremost, he was like a father figure to me. He was like a father figure to me as an athlete and a great mentor as a coach. He had a huge impact on my coaching career. He really taught me the difference between being an athlete and a coach. I think as an athlete, and especially if you're going to be good, you have to be pretty selfish. A lot of it has to be me, me, me. And as a coach, I don't think any of it's about you. It's all about somebody else. And people ask me today, you know, who was your coach in college? Or, and he's been out of it long enough now that a lot of people don't know who he is. And the one thing I'll say, he is the all-around best guy I've ever been around. I know I could call him today and say, hey, you know what, I need $1,000. He would fly to Ohio and give me $1,000, right?
It is all fun.
He'd do it. Okay, John Krebs. John Krebs was the assistant coach when I was there. Second assistant. I think my son still has dizzy spells from the beatings John Krebs put on me in 5 years in college. But he really made me a better person, a better athlete. The one thing I think I can take away from being around Krebs the whole time was I didn't need to be able to do a million things. I needed to be good at about 3 things. Coach Miller's exactly right. I was absolutely horrible on my feet when I first got to Northern Iowa. That was my whole goal. If I could go 0-0, I was going to win. Okay? He taught me you have to be really good at one thing on your feet, but you got to be able to do that one thing to everybody. Okay? You have to be able to do one thing on the bottom, but you got to be able to do it to everybody. Unfortunately, that worked for almost everybody. One guy didn't work for it. And then you have one thing on the top that you have to be able to do to anybody. And it, you know, I won't say I only knew 3 things, but that's where I started, and I worked from there. Coach Miller. You know, I really can't say enough great things about Coach Miller. And you know, for me, it was kind of a love-hate relationship. When I was at Waverly, we hated it. He was at Charles City. They beat us in everything, and that guy was cheating, whatever. You know. There's no way it was legal. So, because they were pretty dang good. And then I can remember when he came to my house to recruit me to go to Northern Iowa. That's kind of what won me over. I thought, man, these guys really care about me. They care about me as a person. They care about me as an athlete. And I want to go wrestle for guys like that. What I learned from Coach Miller, man, he's got passion for the sport like I've never seen before. But I don't necessarily know how to put it in a good way. You know, I hate to use the word scheming because that's kind of negative, right? But I would say this: he taught me to always be scheming. Right? I don't have a better word for it. You know, to find the angle, to scheme, to whatever. He was always thinking about how are we going to beat the next guy. We got to, you know, he was scheming to beat the next guy. He was scheming to beat the next team. He was scheming to get the next recruit. He was scheming to, and 24/7 he thought about wrestling. And you know, that's what I really learned from Coach Miller. If you want to be good at what you're doing, it needs to be a lifestyle for you. It needs to be consuming. It needs to be a passion. And for that, I thank Coach Miller. I'd like to thank my teammates that I wrestled with at Northern Iowa, the guys who wrestled for me at Ohio. My college teammates taught me what it's really like to work hard, not just to think you're working hard. I know in high school I thought I worked hard. What I found out when I went to Northern Iowa, I really didn't know what hard work was. I'm proud to call all those guys my friends and my teammates. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those guys. Wrestling's meant a lot to me. I've been to a lot of places that I would never win as a high school athlete from Waverly. I've been to the Soviet Union when it was still the Soviet Union. I've been to, I would guess, probably 15 different countries, all because of wrestling. It's been my refuge. It's been a place where I've gone when I've needed to find comfort and peace. It's been a source of intense pain and a source of the most intense feelings of joy I've ever had. Pride, satisfaction that you can ever feel. Most of the great experiences that I've had, I owe to wrestling. In closing, I'd like to say thank you. Congratulations to all the other inductees. Thanks for all the people that have been a part of this and enabled me to live my dreams, and the people that the paths that I've crossed that have influenced me throughout my life. Thank you.